Welcome to an interesting idea. 3 second-hand middleweight adventure machines, all single-cylindered, all around 650cc, and all interesting. We have a 2015 Yamaha XT660 Tenere on sale at Bike Shop Rivonia for 85,000 Rand. A 2015 BMW G650GS also from Rivonia for 70,000 Rand. And from Bike Shop Boksburg, a 2010 Kawasaki KLR650 for 50,000 Rand. So here's how this works. We've got 3 motorcycles. When you add the prices all together, it's 210,000 Rand. Now that's slightly less than the price of a new motorcycle in this sort of market. So this is a little bit of fun. Instead of buying one brand new, very expensive motorcycle, buy 3 of them and have some fun with your mates. What do you think? And so, I have some mates to join in.
I'm just going to take full credit for this test. It was my idea, just so that everybody knows that before Donovan takes all the glory. The reason I put it together is because I love small adventure bikes. And I'll tell you why. And I'm going to give you an example. I have a 650 in my garage, and I have a bigger adventure bike. And I've always thought to myself, if I were to sell one of the two, if it ever came to that terrible day one day when you have to decide that you can only have a motorcycle, which one would I keep? The answer is most definitely the 650 would stay. And there's a reason for that. I love mid-range. The bikes are powerful enough to keep up in traffic. They're good fun in the dirt, and they simply do everything so well.
I feel like this is kind of where the adventure bike trend kind of at its peak for me, with the single-cylinder mid-weight bikes that are perfect for trail riding and getting to the trails easily. You can go on the highway and get there in a good amount of time and then have an absolute blast in the bush, and it's not overly heavy and it's not underpowered. It's just, they call that a unicorn bike. I feel like that's kind of what my idea of this type of bike.
And so we went for a ride through the trails near Joburg to see what's what. And we begin with Kawasaki's KLR. People in the enduro world will know about the KDX200, which was not the best model. You won't win any big enduro races on it, but it's a sort of motorcycle that you can go anywhere forever, reliably, easily, all of that. Now, the KLR650 is to what the KDX is in the enduro world. That's what the KLR is to the adventure world. Indeed, it has a 651cc liquid-cooled single fed by an old-school carburetor, pushing 42 horsepower and 47 Nm of torque.
It's not the smartest, fanciest, fastest, almost comfortable motorbike out there, but it does everything kind of well, you know, and you can always rest at ease that you can fix it on the trail by yourself if anything breaks.
There is nothing in the way of electronics, not even in the dash. It's simple to the max. But it does have a 21-inch front wheel and 200mm of fork travel, plus a weight of just 194 kilograms with all fluids on board.
KLR650, well, I happen to have owned several of them in my life, and yesterday riding the one from Bike Shop Boksburg reminded me why I like it so much. And it's very simple. The first thing, and obviously when I was younger, the price had a lot to do with it, and at that time it was exceptionally cost effective. It certainly wasn't the best motorcycle on the market at the time, but value for money, bang for your buck, you certainly couldn't beat it. Riding that bike yesterday brought back so many memories. It's like meeting an old friend again. I know exactly why it was so popular. It is so sad that Kawasaki still doesn't have a bike like this in their arsenal. It is simply a brilliant, simple, easy to ride motorcycle that you can ride to work and back all day, every day, and take it just about anywhere you want to in the bush.
Then we move on to the Yamaha, where we find the biggest engine size of the 3 with 659 cc's, fed by fuel injection and pushing a commendable 48 horsepower and 58 Nm of torque.
So when I got off the KLR650 and onto the XT660, it felt like getting off of a tractor and onto a precision weapon made for carving up sand and rocks and whatever you want to do on it. So it felt like a much more premium version of the KLR, basically.
It's the heaviest of the three at 206 kilograms, but it also has the biggest fuel tank at 22 litres.
It's tall, 21-inch front wheel, 18-inch rear. It's a big dirt bike, and if you know what you're doing, of the three bikes, it was certainly the most fun.
Of the three, the XT is, I'd say, the classiest. You know, the others are they're a little bit sort of understated, whereas the XT just sort of sits there macho and kind of bravado, and it's got this sort of Dakar-like look about it. And yeah, the problem with that bike is you need to be a good rider, because when people see you on that bike, they expect you to be a good rider. But if you are a good rider, you're really going to enjoy this bike a lot. And now we move on to the baby of the group, the 650GS. And we say baby because it's literally smaller.
And then you come to the GS, which is a nice little bike. It's very small compared to the rest, even though they all have more or less the same size engine. It's a much smaller bike, it's much easier to get on. I can put my feet both flat on the ground on that bike, and the handlebars are nice, and it's a much more comfortable bike on the road.
I'll tell you where the 650 fits perfectly. Excuse me, the GS650. For a lady, it's such a nice bike, particularly this one, because this one specifically was low. We all agree that perhaps the seat has been cut to make it a little bit lower. The levers were very close to the handlebars, which means smaller hands. I imagine that somebody a little bit smaller than us big galoots owned that bike before we got our hands on it.
So I'm shorter than the other two guys. And I got much shorter legs. My body to leg ratio is ridiculous. Got tiny little legs, long body. So generally when I sit on a motorcycle that's like more than 2 feet tall, I just fall over. So it was quite comforting to sit on the GS and not kind of have that feeling. No, my feet were very close to the ground. And yeah, okay, it's not the most capable of the three. It's the least capable, smallest wheel, least amount of suspension, especially when we mostly did dirt. We did very little tar. But it was comforting to kind of know that I was in control, whereas on the others, I kind of know if I get stuck in the wrong place, above a bit of a pothole or something, I'm just going to fall over. Not with this thing. So yeah, that was nice. Indeed, the other two have 21-inch wheels. The GS has the smaller 19-inch. That liquid-cooled single-cylinder has 652 cc's and cracks out 48 horsepower, the same as the Yamaha, and 60 Nm of torque, a leader for these three machines.
It's a solid motorcycle. It's got a good engine. Remember, it's got that Rotax engine, which you'll find in bikes like the DS650. So you know that it's as bulletproof as the day is long. Of the three bikes on the road, it was the quickest. I think 160 off it went, and the others were like lugging along. It's comfortable on the road, which is really, really cool.
Then we have the question that if we got these three motorcycles for three mates, which one would they fight over to ride?
If I had to choose a bike here, it is kind of a bit between the XT and the KLR. Because as I said, the XT is like a precision weapon made for trail riding and all that. But for me, the KLR is a bit more well-rounded, and also for me it was a lot easier to ride. I'm not a professional off-road racer, I'm not a dirt hooligan or anything like that, so I feel like an XT is more suited for somebody who is married to dirt. And for me, someone who likes to go on the occasional weekend adventure ride and wants something easy to ride and not have to feel like I need to race a Dakar to be able to really use the bike, the KLR is the perfect match for me. I had the most fun on that bike yesterday.
Of the three, I'm going to go KLR650. I mean, I think that the GS, unfortunately, is not, for us here on this ride, the three of us, it's not the right motorcycle for us. It's the right motorcycle for somebody else. And you know, if I see somebody, that person on that bike, I'll give them a thumbs up. The XT is a little bit too, it's maybe too much for someone like me. I want to just have fun and go chilling out, and very simple, straightforward. My younger self will hate me now. They would say, what are you doing, Donovan? Get the XT, it's, you know, KLR. I'd get the KLR. It's small, it's easy, it's fun, and it'll last forever. It'll be cheap to maintain, and I feel so grown up. I want to be sick.
Of the three bikes, which would I, Glenn Foley, buy? It would be a toss-up between the KLR and that Yamaha. And I would probably lean towards the Yamaha, simply because it looks nicer, and I bet you I'll find a girlfriend if I ride that one.
The day was good fun. We spent hours riding on different kinds of dirt roads and trails, sometimes through mud and sometimes on bigger gravel freeways. All three bikes handled everything in their stride. No problems, no crashes, and not even any tip-overs. It was a good day indeed, and it just shows. Maybe you don't need the latest and greatest to have fun. Welcome to Red Star Raceway, where we have something fitting to try. It's this, the new KTM 990 RCR. KTM's first superbike since the RC8 was launched nearly 20 years ago. To help find out what's what, we've recruited the services of veteran track racer Jason Vessels.
Well, when it arrived here, it's beautiful. They got the colors right, they've got the lines right. It's like he brought me Brad's spare bike. It looks really MotoGP.
Indeed, the looks of this machine are derived from the RC16 MotoGP machine, ridden by the likes of Brad Binder. Apart from the sharp lines and unmistakable amount of orange, it's also equipped with a suitable amount of aero devices, which we will get into shortly. But first, let's get on track.
Wasn't quite sure what to expect with the new the inline twin. So it's my first time really riding one around a track in anger, and very surprised.
KTM clearly put a lot of thought into the different people riding this bike, which is why they gave it a lot of room, including the seat, the grooves for the knees in the tank, and the way the tank slopes down low near the rider, giving room for a bit of gut. More so, the foot pegs are adjustable, which is handy, especially if you're riding both on track and on the road.
The feel of the bike riding out the pits, they've hit the rider's position with the handlebars setup. They've hit that on the head, the nail on the head there, and really made it comfortable for the rider. A nice low seating position and very straight bars, but makes it very, very easy to ride and very comfortable. You can do 30 laps and I don't think you'll get tired.
The frame is of course traditional KTM steel with an aluminium swing arm. The suspension is the latest WP Apex models, while the brakes are the latest high pure models from Brembo. The entire bike with 16 litres of fuel weighs 195 kilograms, with the weight slightly biased towards the front wheel.
Well, as soon as you started to push the bike, that's when the suspension came into its own. The brakes are phenomenal. I see they've got quite a small little caliper. I don't know the new technology in that, but they work so well. You know, trail braking into the turn, you can brake so much later. Everything worked, the brakes don't fade, you just enjoy it the more and more you ride and push it. The torque of the bike for an inline twin is awesome. So, you know, even if you're in a little, maybe not the right gear, it's still got enough torque to pull you out. Just really, really easy bike to ride around the track. Well, I think from obviously my experience on the RC8s, they were quite difficult to ride because they were heavy. I think the weight distribution on this bike is just, they've hit to the, you know, they've just got it right, and it's just easy to ride. So I can't really fault anything on this motorcycle. It's a comfortable riding position, so you can ride on the road and you can bring it straight to the track, and it's a weapon.
That motor is a 947cc parallel twin, the same sort of thing we've already seen in the 990 Duke, and it makes 128 horsepower and 103 Nm of torque, which is excellent for this class of motorcycle.
I think it'll make a novice rider look very good. Just the way it handles, the way it turns, the way it accelerates. The power is it's rider friendly, it's not too aggressive, and like I say, it doesn't make you tired. So you can do a lot of laps and, you know, get your rhythm, you know.
To add, there's a barrage of electricity keeping things in line. It's all controlled via a super widescreen TFT dash that changes its graphics depending on which rider mode you're in. There's the standard adjustable traction control, a two-way quick shifter, wheelie control, and ABS with a supermoto mode in case you want to back it into corners on the back brake. It also connects to an app for the usual music control and all that, plus you can access a bike's telemetry to tell you things like lean angle and everything else. While riding, it's all controlled by buttons on the bars that are all easily found by a wandering thumb while going around corners, which is a nice touch. On the fairing, there are wings poking out of the top fairing. Then there are also aero devices halfway down and even a scoop near the back wheel, just like on a MotoGP bike.
Definitely with the aero that's on this thing in a straight line, it is so stable. Even we had a slight side wind coming from the highway, and didn't feel it at all. I don't know if the aero sucks it to the ground at high speed, but it is so stable.
So, after all the raving, we asked Jason if there's anything he would change.
Not really. The gearing was, I mean, I got to 6th gear on this shortish track, and we got to 212 k's an hour quite easily on the back straight. Obviously we'd have to change the tires. The front tires a bit hard. The back was working quite well, so maybe like gearing, upside down shift, and that's about it. Maybe just not such fancy bodywork, maybe a cheaper bodywork on, and you're good to go, eh? You don't want to crash this one. I think they've just made a perfect package here, and yeah, besides of the front tire only, that was the only issue I had. It felt a bit vague, but I mean, it's not any of the suspension. The suspension is, as it comes out the box, a very trick bike to ride around the track, eh?
Although we only shot at Red Star, we did spend a chunk of time riding us on the road too. And all that comfort and performance and ease of use translates nicely there too. And it's available from KTM dealers right now for a price starting at 295,000 Rand. Welcome back. Now we're going to give you a riding tip. But it's a riding tip much in the vein of famous TikToker Cabby Lame. He is not only the most followed TikTok account, but he's also a big MotoGP fan, so we like him. And what he does is he shows people doing pretty simple tasks in a very kind of complicated roundabout manner. Then he would just do the task in the simple manner and go, which is his sort of famous thing. We're going to be doing something a bit like that, and it has to do with parking your motorcycle. More exactly, it's parking your motorcycle on an uphill. Now, that over there, this drive is on an uphill. Let's just say we want to park there. And this is something people keep doing, and I can't understand. They go past the parking, and then they reverse in. Hang on. Now, here's the thing. You saw it took a bit of effort, more than I actually thought it would. And Ferrari weighs about the same as a bag of air. Now, if you were doing this on a big touring bike, a big cruiser, a big adventure bike, it would look more like this. And now, because it's parked on a downhill, you've got to find a rock to place under the back wheel, because let's be frank, putting in first gear is just not enough. And most bikes don't come with a handbrake. So far, it's taken us 10 minutes and a hernia so that we can pull out quickly. Now this is the easier way to do it. Instead of going past the parking space and trying to reverse in, just use something called a motor. Use that to take you up the hill, and then once you're here, just let gravity take you back again. I mean,